Hi, I'm Sean Gannon, and this is Minute Math, and today we're learning about adding and subtracting rational expressions.
Minute Math, when you need help you use Minute Math.
We're given this problem right here, u plus 5v divided by 8v squared u squared minus u minus 6v divided by 8v squared u squared, and we need to simplify this expression. Well, our denominator has the same, or both parts have the same base, same denominator, right? So because of that, we can add these fractions. So let's look at the numerator. We have u minus its like term u, which cancels, right? U minus u is 0. Don't need that. Easy. Next part, we have 5v minus a negative, right? It's plus a positive, 6v. So that comes out to be 11v here. The denominator, since it was the same, we could add those fractions. We just keep that one denominator here. 8v squared u squared. So now how else can we simplify? Well, there's a v squared in the denominator and then v in the numerator. So we cancel one of them out, cancel the square, and that's basically it. We simplified here. We have 11 over 8v u squared, and that is our final answer. We're given this problem right here, 5n divided by 30m plus 2m plus 4n divided by 30m, and we need to simplify this expression. Well, we have the same denominator in both of our fractions here, so when we add them, we know we can. We just have that 30m stay in the denominator. Now we have to add our like terms in the numerator. We have 5n and a 4n. Adding those together becomes a 9n. Then we just have 2m left over, 2m here, and there we go. Now, there's nothing else that we actually can simplify here, so we're done. 9n plus 2m divided by 30m is our final answer. We're given this problem right here, a plus 2b divided by 6a to the third power minus 5a plus 4b over 6a to the third power, and we need to simplify this expression. Well, notice we have the same denominator already in both fractions. Because we have that, we know we actually can subtract the numerator now. And then it shares the same denominator. So now let's look to add our like terms. We have a minus a 5a. Well, a minus 5a becomes a 4a, and that's a negative 4a. 2b minus a 4b is a minus 2b. Okay. Well, I still think I can simplify this a little more. Can't we pull out a negative 2 or positive 2 from both parts up here? Right? If we pull out a positive 2, I'm left with a negative 2a minus b. So if we replace that right here, we see we have 2 times a negative 2a minus b. And now this 2 can go into the 6 3 times. So what does that come out to be? Well, we're left with a negative 2a minus b in the numerator, and the denominator just 3a to the third power. And so that is our final answer. We're given this problem right here, x plus y divided by 18xy minus 6x plus y over 18xy. And we need to simplify this expression. Well, we already have the same base going on here. We have that 18xy, and so we know we can combine these two fractions right off the bat. So now let's go add our like terms. X minus a 6x is a negative 5x. Y minus 1y, well, is just 0. Don't need to write that. Plus 0, not needed. So now we have negative 5x over 18xy. Well, our x's can cancel, leaving us with just a negative 5 over 18y, and that is our final answer. We're given this problem right here, 4a minus 5 divided by 6a squared plus 30a, plus a minus 1 divided by 6a squared plus 30a, and we need to simplify this expression. Well, my denominator for both of them are the same. in a fraction form. So we know we can combine it to have that same fraction. 6a squared plus 30a. Now with the same base, same denominator, we can add the numerators. Well, 4a plus 1a is a 5a. Negative 5 plus a negative 1 is a negative 6, or minus 6. And that's actually done. It's pretty simple. 5a minus 6 divided by 6a squared plus 30a is our final answer. We're given this problem right here. 5x minus 4 divided by 9x to the third plus 27x squared minus x plus 6 divided by 9x to the third plus 27x squared. And we need to simplify this expression. First thing I notice is that, well, we already have the same denominator on both sides, or both parts of our fractions here. Meaning we can instantly start combining the numerator. So we have the set denominator of that 9x to the third plus 27x squared. So the same for both of them. So now let's go add the numerators. Well, 5x, we gotta do the like terms. 5x minus a 1x is a 4x. Negative 4 minus 6 is a negative 10. And that's it. There's nothing else we really can do to simplify this anymore. We have 4x minus 10 divided by 9x to the third plus 27x squared. We're given this problem right here. b minus 3 divided by 12b plus 18 plus 4b divided by 12b plus 18. And we need to simplify this expression. Well, notice first that we have the same base going on here in both of our fractions, meaning we right away can combine them. 12b plus 18 is now a common denominator. We add the numerator now. b plus a 4b, make sure we're adding our like terms, is a 5b. All that's left in the numerator is that minus 3, and that's actually it. 5b minus 3 divided by 12b plus 18 is our final answer. We're given this problem right here. N minus 4 divided by n squared minus n minus 20 plus n plus 1 divided by n squared minus n minus 20. And we want to simplify this expression. First thing I notice, we have the same base in both, or same denominator in both of our fractions, meaning that we can combine them and keep that same denominator. N squared minus n minus 20. So now we can just add the numerators. Well, n plus n is 2n. Negative 4 plus 1 is a negative 3. And that's actually it. We're done. 2n minus 3 divided by n squared minus n minus 20 is our final answer. We're given this problem right here. 7x divided by 2x minus x minus 2 divided by 20x plus 16. And we need to simplify this expression. One of the first things I notice is that there's a x here and x here. So I quickly can cancel that out. We're trying to simplify where we can. 20x plus 16, I can pull out a 4 here. I have 4 times 5x plus 4 now. But notice that this 4 is also 2 times 2. Let's keep that in our mind. Well, I want to have a common denominator here. And so if I multiply this side by just one of these 2's times 5x plus 4 over itself, notice that that is equal to 1. Anything divided by itself is 1. So I'm not really changing the left-hand side, but I'm adapting it so the denominators will be the same. 2 times 2 is that 4, and then we multiply 5x plus 4 there. So with doing that, what do we get? Well, 2 times 7 is 14. And we have that 5x plus 4 here over, well, the denominator, which is now going to be shared. We have that 4 times 5x plus 4. Okay, so 4 times 5x plus 4 is going to be a common denominator. Then we just have that subtracting x in parentheses, make sure you don't forget it, minus 2. All right. So now, what happens if we simplify this a little? Well, let's distribute this 4 times 5, and that comes out to be 70. So we have 70x plus 14 times 5 is 70x, and 14 times 4 is a 56. So I'm going to replace that here, multiplying out like that. Okay, so it's 70x plus 56 minus x minus 2. So now let's go combine and see if we can get some like terms and being done here. Okay, denominator stays the same, 4 times 5x plus 4. But the numerator, again, combine our like terms here. 70x minus x is 69x. And 56 minus a negative 2 is like adding a positive 2, and that's plus 58. And there we actually have our final answer, 69x plus 56 divided by 4 times 5x plus 4. We're given this problem right here, 8 divided by 7v minus 6 plus 4 divided by 3v squared, and we need to simplify this expression. Well, I want to have a common denominator. So an easy way to do that is take this side, the left side, and multiply by this denominator over itself. 3v squared, if I can write it right. 3v squared divided by 3v squared, just 1. Doesn't really change it much. Now I'm going to do the same thing here. I have 7v minus 6 over 7v minus 6 there. Again, same thing over itself as 1. What that does is it's going to give me what we call a common denominator, which is going to be that 3v squared times 7v minus 6. So what about the numerator? Well, we have 3v squared times 8, which is 24v squared. And we're adding that to 4 times 7v, well, that's a 28v. And then 4, make sure you distribute to both parts here. 4 times a minus 6 is a minus 24. And well, we're actually done here. Final answer is 24v squared plus 28v minus 24 divided by 3v squared times 7v minus 6. We're given this problem right here. 7v divided by 8 minus 8v minus 4 divided by 5v minus 2, and we need to simplify this expression. Well, I need to have a common denominator. So a way I can do that is multiply the second or the first fraction by the denominator of the second fraction over itself. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. 8 over 8 now. And what this does, it gives us a common denominator, which is 8 times 5v minus 2. So we have that same common denominator now, 8 times 5v minus 2, 8 times 5v minus 2, and we can combine these two parts. So let's go simplify a little bit here. 5v times 7v is 35v squared, minus 2, make sure you're going to both parts, minus 2 times 7v is a minus 14v. Minus the second part here, and let's make sure we put it in parentheses so you don't forget everything. 8v times 8 is a 64v, and then negative 4 times 8 is a minus 32. And so now what we want to do is, well, combine our like terms and simplify. So I'm going to rewrite my denominator here. In the numerator, let's see if we can combine our like terms. Well, 35v squared has nothing else with v squared, so I'll leave it here, 35v squared. But I have a minus 14v, and then we're distributing this minus sign, so plus and negative, make that a positive. Negative 14v minus 64v is a minus 78v. We're left with just a positive 32. And there's our answer. 35v squared minus 78v plus 32 divided by 8 times 5v minus 2. We're given this problem right here. 4 over n plus 7 minus 7 over n minus 2. And we need to simplify this expression. Well, I need to have a common denominator here. So to do that, I'm going to take the first fraction and multiply it by this denominator, the second one, over itself. Now I'm going to flip it and do the same thing here. N plus 7 over n plus 7. What does that give us here? Well, it's going to give us a common denominator of n plus 7 times n minus 2. which allows us to add the numerators. So let's go simplify this. N times 4 is 4n. Minus 2 times 4 is, well, a minus 8. We're subtracting, that's in between here. Put parentheses so don't forget to distribute that minus sign. 7 times n is 7n. And 7 times 7 is 49. Okay. Well, now we want to combine our like terms. So I'm going to keep my same base, n plus 7 here, n minus 2. And let's combine our like terms in the numerator. 4n minus 7n, so let's distribute the minus sign to both parts here so we don't forget it. 4n plus a negative 7n, same thing, negative 3n. Negative 8 plus a negative 49 is a negative 57. And so there we have it, negative 3n minus 57 divided by n plus 7 times n minus 2 is our final answer. We're given this expression right here, 7 divided by 3n squared plus 24n minus 7 over 2n, and we need to simplify this expression. Well, the first thing I noticed here is, well, this denominator right here is, I can pull out a 3n here. So if I pull out a 3n, I'm left with 3n times n plus 8. So I'm going to replace that here with that. Okay. Well, I want to have, or I need to have, a common denominator. So what can I do to multiply this? Well, if I multiply, both denominators share an n. That's the only thing they share. So if I take this side here and multiply it by 2 over 2, I would have, well, 2 and an n in that denominator, but some other stuff. So if we take this side and multiply it by, well, what can we do? We have 3 times n plus 8. What are we left with? 2 times 3 is 6. And we have an n here, as well as an n plus 8 being multiplied. Same thing here. 2 times 3 is 6. And then we have the n, and then n plus 8. So by setting it up like this, we will have the same denominator, and it doesn't really change the problem. So let's simplify this a little bit. 2 times 7 is 14. Over 2 times 3 is that 6n. And don't forget the n plus 8. Minus. Same thing here. Let's look at the denominator first. 2 times 3 is 6. Don't forget the n. And we have n plus 8 here as well. The numerator is, well, 7 times 3 is 21 times n plus 8. Okay. Well, now that we have the same base, we can combine these two fractions and just add the numerator. I find it's a little easier to multiply out this 21 first. So I'm going to multiply the 21 to both parts, leaving me with a, 21 times n is 21m, plus 21 times 8 is 168. Okay? So now let's go combine these two fractions, same base, 6n over n plus 8 here. But the numerators we need to add together. Okay. 14 minus 168, it's a negative 154. All we're left now is just with the negative 21n. Don't forget that minus sign goes up there too. Minus 21n. And actually, we have it here. We have our final answer. Negative 154 minus 21n divided by 6n times n plus 8. We're given this problem right here. 6 divided by v minus 2 minus 7 over 2v plus 7. And we need to simplify this expression. Well, first thing I need to do is find the same base here. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to take the denominator here of 2v plus 7 and multiply the first fraction by the denominator over itself. I'm now going to do the same thing with the right hand side, v minus 2 here over v minus 2. And what this will do is eventually have us a denominator that is v minus 2 times 2v plus 7 for both of them. So they have the same denominator. So what is this well simplified to be? Let's multiply that out. 2v plus 7 times 6. Well, 2v times 6 is a 12v. 7 times 6 is a 42. Oops, don't need to put a parenthesis there. Getting ahead of myself. Denominator here is, well, that 2v plus 7 times v minus 2. Now we're subtracting. 7 times v is 7v. 7 times a minus 2 is a minus 14. All over, again, same denominator. 2v plus 7 times v minus 2. All right, a lot of work going on here, but we're almost done. We see again that it has the same denominator, so let's go combine it now by adding the numerator. Denominator is 2v plus 7, v minus 2 here. Now let's go combine the numerator. Well, 12v minus 7v is a 5v. 42 minus a negative 14 is like plus a positive 14, and we get a positive 56. And there we have it. 5v plus 56 divided by 2v plus 7 times v minus 2 is our final answer. We're given this problem right here, 6x divided by 3 plus 7 over 15x plus 3, and we need to simplify this expression. Well, first thing I'm noticing is this 15x plus 3, I can pull a 3 out, and I'm left with a 5x plus 1 in the denominator. So let's replace that. Now we want to have a common denominator here. 3 and 3 are pretty close, but there's still that 5x plus 1 here. If I multiply the first fraction by 5x plus 1 over 5x plus 1, the denominators would, well, then be the same. So what does that come out to be? Well, 5x times 6x is a 30x squared, and then 1 times 6x is 6x. Over that denominator, 3 times 5x plus 1, like this. The right fraction, well, let's keep the same, 7 over 3 times 5x plus 1. We now have the same denominator, so we can write this as one fraction. We have the 3 times 5x plus 1 in the denominator, and let's add our numerator. Well, 30x squared has no like terms, so we have 30x squared here. 6x has no like terms, plus 6x. 7 by itself, no like terms, plus a 7. And that's actually it. 30x squared plus 6x plus 7 divided by 3 times 5x plus 1 is our final answer. We're given this problem right here, 5v over v minus 3 times 5 over v plus 6, and we need to simplify this expression. Well, I need to have the common denominator. And v minus 3 and v plus 6 aren't really the same. So I'm going to take the first fraction and multiply it by this denominator, v plus 6, over itself. Similarly, I'm going to do the same thing here, v minus 3 over v minus 3. This allows us to have v plus 6 times v minus 3 be our common denominator. So what does this simplify to be? V times 5v is a, well, 5v squared. And 6 times 5v is a 30v. Over a denominator, which is going to be a v plus 6 times a v minus 3. Now we're going to add that to the second fraction here, and we'll distribute again. 5 times v is 5v, and then 5 times a minus 3 is a minus 15. And again, that's over v plus 6 and a v minus 3. Okay. Well, now we have the same denominator. So we can combine this under one big fraction, v plus 6 here, times v minus 3. So let's add our like terms in the numerator. Well, there's nothing else with a v squared, so 5v squared just stays there. 30v and a 5v come out to be a 35v. And lastly, minus 15 is by itself. And so there we have our final answer. 5v squared plus 35v minus 15 divided by v plus 6 times v minus 3. We're given this problem right here, 4x over x squared plus 4x minus 5 minus 5/4, and we need to simplify this expression. Well, we don't have a like denominator, but if I multiply the first fraction by 4 over 4, And the second fraction by this denominator, x squared plus 4x minus 5. Let's go subtract that, adding it. Over itself, what do we have as a denominator? Well, it's just 4 times that x squared plus 4x minus 5. So what does that come out to be? Well, 4 times 4x is a 16x. Denominator is going to be 4 times that x squared plus 4x minus 5. Minus, well, let's go multiply out that 5. 5 times x squared is 5x squared. 5 times 4x is a 20x. And 5 times a negative 5 is a minus 25. All over again, that denominator, 4x squared plus 4x minus 5. Well, we now have the same denominator right there, 4 times x squared plus 4x minus 5, and so we can combine it as one fraction, or one common denominator. But notice that this actually factors out to be an x plus 5 times an x minus 1. So we'll use that as our new factor denominator. So we have 4 times x plus 5 times an x minus 1. And now we're going to combine our like terms in our numerator. 16 minus 20x is a negative 4x. We then have, don't forget, a minus 5x squared here. And then a minus a negative 25 is plus a 25. And you can rearrange it if you want, but that's basically it, our final answer. Negative 4x minus 5x squared plus 25 over 4 times x plus 5 times x minus 1. We're given this problem right here, 2 over x plus 3 minus 6x over 2x plus 1, and we need to simplify this expression. Well, I need to have a common denominator. So a way to do that is take the denominator of the second fraction and multiply the first fraction by the denominator over itself. I'm going to do the same thing with the second fraction. X plus 3 over an x plus 3. That gives us a common denominator of 2x plus 1 times x plus 3. So let's simplify this a little bit. 2x times 2 is a 4x. 1 times 2 is 2. And our denominator now is 2x plus 1 times x plus 3. Now we're subtracting, and let's do the same thing. Distribute the 6x to both parts, multiply it out. 6x times x, 6x squared. 6x times 3 is 18x. And that's over our denominator, which is 2x plus 1, that's a 1, times x plus 3. Well, we now have a common denominator here of 2x plus 1 times an x plus 3. We can combine this fraction, and let's go add the numerator. Well, 4x minus its like term 18x is a minus 14x. 2 doesn't have a like term, so let's just bring it down. We plus a 2 right here. And lastly, we have a minus 6x squared. Now, you can rearrange that if you want, but we're pretty much done here. Our final answer is negative 14x plus 2 minus 6x squared over 2x plus 1 times x plus 3. We're given this problem here, 4x over x plus 3 minus 4x over x plus 6, and we need to simplify this expression. Well, I need to have a common denominator here. I have an x plus 3 and an x plus 6. So if I multiply the first fraction by x plus 6 over x plus 6, and the second fraction by x plus 3 over x plus 3, what do we have? Well, we're going to have a common denominator of x plus 6 times x minus 3. So let's simplify this out a little bit. X times 4x is 4x squared. 6 times 4x is a 24x. And that's going to be over x plus 6 times x plus 3. Alright. Now we're going to do the same thing with the second part. 4x times x is a 4x squared. 4x times a 3 is a positive 12x. And that's over that x plus 3 times an x plus 6. Okay. Well, now we have the same base. We need to combine that to one fraction. X plus 3 times x plus 6. So let's add the numerator now. Combine our like terms. 4x squared minus a 4x squared, well, they cancel each other out. That's nice. 24x minus 12x is just a positive 12x. And so that's it. 12x over x plus 3 times x plus 6 is our final answer. We're given this problem right here. 2x over 3x plus 3 minus 2 over x plus 5. And we need to simplify this expression. Well, what I want to do here is I want to have a common denominator starting out. So if I want to have a common denominator, these clearly aren't the same. But if I multiply the first fraction by x plus 5 over itself, and the second fraction by 3x plus 3 over itself, I'll have a new denominator of x plus 5 times 3x plus 3. So what happens when we do that? Let's distribute. X times a 2x is, well, 2x squared. 5 times a 2x is 10x. Over that denominator, 3x plus 3 times, well, x plus 5. Now we're subtracting the right-hand side. 2 times 3x is a 6x, and 2 times 3 is a 6. Over, again, that denominator, 3x plus 3 times x plus 5. Well, notice 3x plus 3, we can pull out a 3 as well, so let's do that. 3, and we have an x plus 1 here. Rewrite that. Make it a little more simpler. But either way, our denominator is now 3 times x plus 1 times x plus 5. So let's write a common denominator here. And now we can, since we have a common denominator, we can add our numerator. 2x squared, well, there's nothing else with an x squared there, so we just bring that down to x squared. But now we have 10x minus, don't forget to distribute it, a 6x. That's a 4x. And then we're left with just a minus 6 in the numerator. And there we have it. 2x squared plus 4x minus 6 divided by 3 times x plus 1 times x plus 5 is our final answer. We're given this problem here. 6 over x minus 2 plus 6 over x plus 1. And we need to simplify this expression. Well, I want to have the same denominator. So to do that, I take this first part, x plus 1, the denominator here, and multiply it by that over itself. Second part, I do the same thing, but with the other denominator, x minus 2 and x minus 2. This leaves us with a common denominator of x plus 1 times x minus 2. So let's distribute, simplify this a little bit. X times 6x, x times 6 is 6x. And 1 times 6 is a 6. So we have 6x plus 6. Now the denominator is that x plus 1 times x minus 2. Same thing here, the second part. 6 times x is a 6x, and 6 times minus 2 is a minus 12. And that's over, again, x plus 1 times x minus 2. Okay. Well, we now have a common denominator of that x plus 1 times x minus 2, and we can combine our like terms in the numerator. 6x plus 6x is a 12x. Positive 6 minus 12 is a negative 6. So there we have it. Our final answer, 12x minus 6 divided by x plus 1 times x minus 2. We're given this problem here. V minus 2 over 3v to the fourth minus 15v to the third minus 18v squared, and we just want to add a 3v to that. Well, we don't have a common denominator here. Remember, this denominator is just 1. But if I take this massive denominator, that's right here, and multiply the second fraction by the denominator over itself, so 3v to the fourth minus 15v to the third minus 18v squared, over, same thing, 3v to the fourth minus 15v to the third minus 18v squared, I now will have a common denominator here. Don't mind the lights. Okay. So, by now that I'm back, we have a common, we have it set up here for a common denominator. So what is that going to be? That's going to be this whole 3v, let's write it out here, 3v to the fourth minus 15v to the third minus 18v squared. But what about the numerator? Here I just have a v minus 2, and we're adding, we need to distribute this 3v to all parts here. So I'm going to put that over here. 3v times 3v to the fourth power is a 9v to the fifth power. And we add the exponents. 3v times a minus 15v to the third is a minus 45v to the fourth power. And then 3v times a negative 18v is, well, a negative 54v to the third power. Okay, so where do we go from here? We want to combine our like terms in the numerator, and the denominator, I actually can simplify this a little, so let's go do that first. I can pull out a 3v squared, I can see that's in all parts. So I pull out a 3v squared, I'm left with, well, a 3v squared times v squared minus 5v minus 6. Okay, so let's replace that down here. But then this part also looks like it can factor. So 3v squared comes down, and what does this come out to be? Well, v squared minus 5v minus 6 is, well, a v plus 1 times a v minus 6. So we replace that again. All right. So our common denominator, simplified, is at 3v squared times v plus 1 times v minus 6 here. The numerator, we need to combine our like terms. Highest degree is 9v to the fifth power. Nothing combines with that. Then we have v to the fourth, which is a minus 45. Well, nothing else combines with that. Minus 45v to the fourth. Next highest power is v to the third. Negative 54v to the third. This is a large one. Then, lastly, or second last, we just have a plus v and a minus 2. So after all of that, this is actually our simplest form, our final answer. 9v to the fifth power minus 45v to the fourth minus 54v to the third plus v minus 2 all over 3v squared times v plus 1 times v minus 6. Hope this video was helpful, and if it was, please subscribe to this YouTube channel and like this video. This helps us make more free math lessons for you and for everyone else. So as always, thanks for watching.
Minute Math. When you need help, you use Minute Math. Minute Math. When you need help, you use Minute Math. MinuteMathTutor.com.